Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today, we're diving into the story of the Bell P-59 Airacomet, America's very first jet fighter, a plane that marked a significant milestone in aviation history even though it never saw combat. The story of the P-59 is fascinating because it represents the moment the United States entered the jet age, a period that changed the way air warfare would be fought forever. The development of the P-59 began in the early 1940s when the United States realized that jets were the future after receiving information about British jet engine technology. Bell Aircraft Corporation, already an established manufacturer of high-performance aircraft, was tasked with creating the first American jet fighter. This was no small challenge. At the time, the entire world had very limited experience with jet propulsion, and engineers had to learn a whole new set of principles to make a working aircraft. The aircraft that emerged from Bell's efforts was the P-59 Airacomet, a twin-engine jet that looked relatively conventional compared to later jet fighters. It had straight wings, a mid-sized fuselage, and a nose that housed a 37mm cannon, along with 3.50 caliber machine guns. On paper, it seemed ready for combat, but the reality was a little different. The P-59 was powered by two General Electric J-31 turbojets, engines that were compact and lightweight but produced limited thrust compared to later designs. This meant that while the P-59 could reach speeds of around 409 miles per hour, it was still slower than some of the piston-engine fighters already in service, like the P-51 Mustang. This underwhelming performance meant the Airacomet was never sent into combat, which might sound like a failure at first glance, but in reality, it served a critical purpose. The P-59 was used primarily as a training aircraft, giving American pilots their first experience with jet flight. This was essential because jets handle very differently from propeller-driven aircraft, with faster speeds, higher altitudes, and a unique throttle response. Without the P-59, pilots would have faced a much steeper learning curve when moving to more advanced jets like the F-80 Shooting Star. The aircraft's development was also shrouded in secrecy. At the time, jet propulsion was cutting-edge technology, and there was a real fear that information could fall into enemy hands. Test flights were conducted in isolated areas, and only a select group of engineers, pilots, and military personnel had access to the project. Despite its limitations, the P-59 proved that jet propulsion could work reliably in a fighter aircraft, paving the way for the next generation of American jets. By the late 1940s, the P-59 had been replaced by more capable fighters that could take full advantage of jet engines' potential. The aircraft had a service ceiling of about 46,000 feet and was primarily used in training squadrons to prepare pilots for the jets that would dominate the skies during the Korean War. In total, only 66 P-59s were built, making it a rare aircraft today and a collector's item in the history of aviation museums. While it never fired its guns in anger, the Airacomet's legacy is significant. It represents the first step in the United States' journey into the jet age, a period that would see the development of iconic aircraft like the F-86 Sabre, F-84 Thunderjet, and beyond. The lessons learned from the P-59 informed the design of all subsequent American jets and helped the U.S. Air Force transition smoothly into a new era of air combat. One interesting aspect of the P-59 is how different it was from the jets that followed. Unlike the sleek, swept-wing fighters that became the standard in the 1950s. The P-59 looked almost like a traditional propeller plane with engines stuck on the sides. This visual similarity can be misleading, but it underscores the fact that the P-59 was an experimental aircraft, designed to prove the concept rather than dominate the battlefield. Today, the P-59 Airacomet stands as a symbol of innovation and the willingness to push boundaries in aviation. Museums that display surviving examples allow visitors to appreciate the aircraft's historical significance and understand how far technology has come in just a few decades. Even though it never engaged in combat, the Airacomet played an essential role in preparing the United States for the jet age. In conclusion, the Bell P-59 Airacomet may not have been the fastest, most powerful, or most famous fighter of its era, but it was undeniably a trailblazer. It provided invaluable lessons for pilots and engineers alike, set the stage for future jet fighters, and marked the United States' first steps into a new world of aviation technology. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the P-59 Airacomet, Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more aviation stories, from legendary planes to hidden gems of history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.